Aloha, folks, and welcome back to Degree Free, where we teach you how to get the work you want without a college degree. I'm your host, Ryan Maruyama. Before we get into today's guest and into the episode, I did have one ask of you guys, and that is add me on LinkedIn. If you haven't already, Ryan Maruyama on LinkedIn. I will leave a link to my LinkedIn in the show notes, so you definitely go check those out. So let's get into today's episode. Today is going to be a bonus episode. We have Joel Bein from Career Hackers back on the podcast. He is the CEO of Career Hackers, and they are doing a special 2-day event. It's called Supercharge Your Career, October 19th to the 20th, superchargecareer.com and careerhackers.com. In this episode, we also talk about how we think nowadays maybe it's time for everybody to consider themselves entrepreneurs. Definitely give this episode a listen and check out Joel Bein at careerhackers.com. All right, enjoy the episode. Aloha, folks, and welcome back to Degree Free. I am super stoked to have on our very first return guest, actually, Joel Bein. You might have known him from a few episodes ago where we talked about career hackers and super hacking your career. He has since gotten a title promotion to CEO, so glad to have Joel Bein, the CEO of Career Hackers, on with us today. Welcome, Joel.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.
And Joel, I kind of wanted to dive right in. We did this meeting we did this recording because you have something super special going on in a couple of weeks. And I was wondering if you could kind of tell everybody about your event that you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're really excited to put on a big 2-day live virtual event for job seekers, for career builders, for career shifters, whatever the case may be. It's going to be called Supercharge Your Career in blank economy. I don't know if I can swear in this podcast, but
I think everybody's got it. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see it. If you go to superchargecareer.com, you can see the full scope of the event. But the aim is to empower people in this economy, and whether that's landing that job, standing out in the job hunt, learning to sell yourself, learning to cut through the noise, creating that video pitch, or building that portfolio of projects, and not relying on the standard pathway, the standard credentials or degrees or resumes, and say, hey, you can prove your value and cut through the noise. So we're going to be catering to the event towards that leg of careers, landing the interview, landing the job. And then it's also broader for anyone who's just looking to level up their mindset in their career in general and to become your own job security, right? Where you can look at the world at large and you're like, wow, this is a wild world out there, isn't it? And what's going on with this economy? And well, the reality is, no matter what's going on outside in the external world, you always have the power to grab life by the horns in your mindset between the ears. And if you empower yourself, you can bulletproof your future in your career, because at the end of the day, companies want people who can create value. And if you can become what Seth Godin calls an artist, and going above and beyond and creating value without permission and becoming more entrepreneurial, right? Like my vision for the bigger picture in the 21st century is people are entrepreneurs, no matter if they're owning a business or not. But you're thinking of yourself as you're the CEO of Me Incorporated, right? You have value, you have services to market, and that type of mindset of pitching yourself, becoming in that sales and marketing mindset for your own value, that's the way to be very secure in your future, as well as more fulfilled, right? Like our mission at Career Hackers is to help people discover and do what makes them come alive. And we want people to look forward to Mondays. Like that's the vision I have. That's what lights me up. Can you imagine the whole world is like, right now it's like 65% of people are dissatisfied with their job. That's sad. People are doing stuff like this quiet quitting phenomenon. People are showing up to work and just doing the bare minimum as sort of like almost passive aggressive thing because they don't like their job. I can have empathy for that frustration. And what I vision is how can we transcend that and actually align ourselves with opportunities that are bringing us energy and fulfillment. And then you want to go above and beyond. You want to do that extra mile because it's fulfilling to you. So that's the kind of bigger picture of the philosophy And we're going to have some amazing speakers at this 2-day event. It's totally free to attend, by the way. Career thought leaders. We're going to have Lindsay Mustaine, who's an ex-Amazon executive who helps people like boost their salaries by $100,000. She's going to sit down with me for a fireside chat and talk about that. Madeline Mann, who's got lots of experience in HR, and she's got a big TikTok, YouTube following. And we're going to talk about the secrets to crush the interview, because she's been on the other side of the hiring process. She's got so much nuts and bolts tips. We're going to have Jed Marley, who's an emerging sales thought leader, talk about how to sell yourself on the job hunt and get in that sales mindset. We're going to have Derek Sivers, who's founder of CD Baby, just amazing philosopher, entrepreneur, musician. He's been all sorts of things in his life. And he's going to talk about that broader mindset of creativity, right? He inspired me to write a little book I wrote the beginning of this year. And he talks a lot about this idea of consuming versus creating. And how can you get in that mindset of not just listening to podcasts, but creating podcasts, or not just consuming information, but creating information. And if you create, then you create value in the marketplace. And that's the essence of what it means to be entrepreneurial. So that's the full sort of thorough overview of it. And would love to dive deeper if you want to ask
absolutely
questions.
I would love to jump in here. You know what's so interesting? There's a couple of things that I want to dive a little bit deeper in. When you were talking about the mindset, I really gravitate towards that, because I've always had this saying, it's always my fault. And I think that's that's very Asian, it's very Japanese to say that. But I always had that mindset because I can only control what I can control. And if something happened to me or something happens, I always just say, well, it's my fault, because then it turns the lens on me. What could I have done? Let's just take an extreme example. Say if I were to have gotten into an accident or something, where that person that hit me ran a red light, I would sit there and think okay, well, what could I have done better to have prevented this accident? Because I couldn't prevent him from running the red light. And so that's an extreme example. And so maybe poor in this thing, but I've taken that everywhere in my life, and I think it really helps once you nail it down. I think there's also, I will say, I'm learning that there's a middle ground too, because some things are not always your fault. And so I think when you're first learning that mindset, it's helpful to take it to the extreme. And then when you realize okay, maybe not everything is your fault. Maybe you couldn't have done anything to not get hit by that person running the red light, and then maybe you taper it back a little bit. But when you're first learning it, that's something that really helped me, was just taking, extreme responsibility over the outcome of my life and what I can affect change on.
Yeah, I love the way you shape that. Extreme approach can be really valuable, even just as a thought experiment. What if for the next 30 days, I tell myself that literally 100% of things that happen to me were created by me, and how could that be the case? And then it becomes this game of hyper awareness of every thought and action you're having, and how that's potentially affecting your reality. And I'm more and more buying into that mindset, but absolutely at the same time, it's not healthy to take over responsibility. And something like this economic climate, that's a big, complex, there's many factors into why the economic climate is what it is. And so, there are these bigger pictures that we sort of were born into, in a sense. We kind of inherited these problems even. So from a lot of sort of destructive choices, I would say, in the bigger societal political landscape. But okay, so that is affecting your individual life. It is affecting your career. It is affecting your ability to get hired. But you can still maximize, no matter how much the world is closing in on you, no matter what's going on, you have 100% ability to choose your attitude.
So kind of just to solidify this, and I'll tell a story. It's not my story. It was actually Hannah's. And this is really where her career started to take off. She was working at a call center, basically making $28,000 a year before COVID hit, right? And it was in the hospitality industry. And we were living in Hawaii, and $28,000 a year is not a lot at all. It's actually in Hawaii, it's below the poverty line, right? And so she got fired, or she got laid off rather, long story short, because of COVID, right? She ended up being sitting she's a desk mates to one of the first like 14 people in Hawaii that got confirmed with COVID. And so she got let home 2 weeks early before everybody else, before the whole department just disintegrated. And she came home that day and she's like, my job's never coming back. And she, instead of like crying over spilled milk, like, which we did for a little bit because we were thinking, man, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? She went and she did a Salesforce course. In 31 days, she got her Salesforce certificate. And then like 30 days later, she was making 70K a year. Like, and that was within the span of like 2 months, just because she decided to have the mindset like, okay, well, it's not my fault that I lost my job. You know, like literally that department in that company, we're still friends with people that run it. It doesn't exist anymore. Like that department still doesn't exist. And she went out in 60 days, completely changed the trajectory of her career and of her life.
I want to steal that story. Yeah. I love that so much.
One other thing that I wanted to touch on there, and it's something that I've been thinking about myself when you were talking about, like, you know, you were talking about Seth Godin and everybody, you and I spoke about it last time when he came on the podcast about Linchpin, the book that he wrote.
Oh yeah.
And I have been having a thought, basically exactly what you said. So what I used to say was that not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody is meant to do it. And because like my thought was that you always have to have like worker bees. And now I'm starting to think, and I've actually had this conversation with Cameron Sorsby before. It's kind of going to be confusing for the listeners, is that episode is going to come out after this episode. But I'm thinking that now what you said is correct. Like everybody is an entrepreneur, like whether it's in their own careers, but even like starting side projects, like we talked about before in our first episode, like whether it's starting side projects and just maybe not with the intent of making money and doing it full time, but with the intent that I'm going to go in and I'm going to learn things so that I can have projects, so that I can put it on resumes. Well, I know that you don't believe in the resumes, but I can put it in my video pitch. I can put it on my my professional portfolio. And I don't know, I guess there's really no question there. I'm just kind of bouncing an idea back and forth. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, this is actually a relatively recent shift for me to actually see everyone as an entrepreneur, whether you choose it or not. When you realize that you are, I mean, if you're seeking to bring in income, if you're seeking to trade value in the world, you have services to offer, then you are seeking customers. And that customer might simply be one customer, which is a company. And then you have your business, Me Incorporated, and you have one customer, that company. And you are now providing services at that quote unquote job, but you're creating value, and then you receive revenue from that customer, which is your salary. But we tend to grow up and we think about this idea of obeying the authority to do what you're supposed to do, cog in a wheel, right? Assembly line, all this 20th century stuff. And we show up and check the boxes and we think that is what it means. But at the end of the day, you are empowered and you're an individual to make your own choices. You're not a slave to any company. You're choosing to enter in a two-way street, right? And so that's the direction I want to see the world go. And I think it already is going. And one of our guests, Taylor Pearson, for this event, he wrote a book a few years ago called The End of Jobs. This was back in like 2015. And he talks about like the macroeconomic trajectory we're going in, where we're moving away from this. Just show up from 9 to 5 and it's on you. You have an opportunity to have more freedom and think more entrepreneurially and bring in, there's different ways you can skin the cat, so to speak. Like you can have that one customer work for one company. You can have side projects. You can start your own business. Especially with remote work now, there's just so much opportunity. And so it really becomes, I think like, 30, 50 years from now, people are going to look back and like see more clearly what's evolving right now in the way people work and the marketplace. And so that's all to say that, yeah, you have the choice to like fully embrace the fact that you own yourself and you have the choice to be in the driver's seat of Me Incorporated. And if you choose to fully embody that, then you can be more empowered.
I agree with what you were saying about like there's basically a paradigm shift happening right in front of our eyes, and with like especially with the proliferation of remote work, right? Like COVID accelerated that like crazy, right? 60% of job seekers out there right now are looking for remote work, and there's a bunch of companies right now that are trying to pull people back into the offices, and there are people that are just not having it, right? And so I think the paradigm shift underneath all of this is that companies are going from a more time-centric like base of unit of account.
Yep.
Like you're there from 9 to 5, and they're going to a more value-based unit of account. And where it's like, this is the beginning of, and so I'll use myself, for example. Like I have a small team that I run. Like I don't care like how long that, if they do the tasks that they need to do in an hour, and they're done, perfect. Like that's great, right? Like, and I think that more and more companies are going towards that, and more companies are going away from like basically bean counters and like 9 to 5. I mean, granted, there's going to be some things like firefighters or 24/7 customer service reps that you're going to have to be there. But for the most part, in almost every other role, we're seeing a shift to more value-based accounting when it comes to your value.
Yeah, and I believe that puts the power in the employee, where it's not just you look to the authority as what am I supposed to do? Check the boxes, right? But it's actually because you have so many opportunities now as an entrepreneurial employee, we'll call it. Then companies are like incentivized to treat you more, I believe. And this is going to continue to play out, I believe. Like companies are more actually incentivized to become more attractive places to work because you have so many options. So yeah, I think this is emerging, and this event, we're trying to kind of like activate this and say, hey, let's double down on this. And I mean, there's still a lot of people out there who are not familiar with this at all. They're still kind of in this standard mindset of, I got my degree, now I need to, just show up 9 to 5 and do my job. And that's why I think we have the 65% people are dissatisfied. And so we're hoping to set this trajectory, accelerate this. And this is our first time we're doing this event, but we're hoping to make a big splash and continue to build momentum and do more of these. And yeah, like again, create a more alive world, more entrepreneurial world, and more creative world.
Awesome. Joel, how do people attend this event? How do they learn more about what you guys are doing over there at Career Hackers? What's the details? Where can I send people?
Yeah, thanks. So for the event, it's superchargecareer.com, and you can just register for free, and we'll send you all the info, and you can attend for the whole 2 days. You can attend for a few sessions. There's going to be opportunities to network and meet new people. So definitely recommend registering and checking it out in one way or the other. And then our website for Career Hackers is careerhackers.com. And we have just articles, resources, tools, communities, it's a huge library of resources for empowered careers. And then we have our daily newsletter, just kind of giving you that dose of motivation every morning. So we'd love to see you over there and dive in. There's just hundreds of pieces of content over there at careerhackers.com.
Yeah. And for everybody listening, the notes to everything will be at the show notes, degreefree.co/podcast. Joel, I am looking forward to this event that you're putting on. Thank you for coming on and sharing this with the audience. And hopefully everybody go to superchargeyourcareer.com and sign up. Supercharge Career. Once again, it'll be in the show notes, everybody. And October 19th to the 20th. Those are the 2 days of the event, everybody. Once again, Joel, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Ryan. Really appreciate what you're up to with Degree Free, and thanks everyone in the audience to tuning into this.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, everybody. Before you go, definitely add me on LinkedIn, Ryan Maruyama. The link to my LinkedIn will be in the show notes, degreefree.co/podcast. And if you haven't already, please sign up for our newsletter, degreefree.co/newsletter, and rate us wherever you get your podcast. It's the best way to show support for the podcast, and then also share this episode with people that might find it helpful. Until next time, guys. Aloha.